Good morning, everybody. It's Ange here today. I'm almost right on time, which is terrific. Today I'm going to talk about the 5 best foods to eat every day. So last week I was asked by somebody, what are the 5 top foods I would recommend people to eat every day? And it's a bit of a tough question, as I don't recommend people eat the same foods every day, day in, day out. The people who are generally doing that are sitting on the other side of my desk. So one of the things that I tell people regularly is diversity about foods is the key. So the foods I'm talking about today are the most nutritional and best gut supporting properties. They are not only useful for gut health, but they're useful for health of the entire body. And I would say to you, I've got a little caveat at the end about these foods. So the first one is berries. Blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, loganberries, boysenberries, cranberries, all really high in polyphenols. And we know that polyphenols supercharge gut bacteria. They are super high in vitamin C and antioxidants, so as long as you don't cook them, they will keep that. They help us build mucous membranes, so think gut lining, and also collagen, which is good for skin, hair, nails, bones, all those sorts of things. So berries is my first one. Number 2 would be oats. Oats are really high in resistant starch, which is good for our gut. They're high in soluble fiber, so they're excellent for our colon, and high in beta-glucans. And beta-glucans is part of the soluble fiber, which can lower cholesterol. And it's high in antioxidants. So beta-glucans can also be really, really good for the immune system. And I tell this to all my clients, having oats soaked in overnight cups have 37 times more resistant starch, which supercharge your gut bacteria. So if you can have an overnight oat cup, delicious. Nuts and seeds is number 3. So for me, nuts and seeds, they need to be unsalted and unroasted to get the best benefits. They're very rich in vitamin E and potassium. They're a really good source of protein and essential fats. My thing is, though, people tend to eat too much of them, so do a small handful. More is not necessarily better. The other thing is that most nuts you buy in a supermarket in Australia are already rancid. Once the nut comes out of its shell, it starts to go off and oxidate. So when you buy nuts, make sure they're fresh, and I would suggest you keep them in the fridge. Because that just keeps them fresher for longer. And I have countless times run into Woolies to buy nuts to, just throw over the top of something, and when you actually put them in your mouth, they're off. And what's happened is we're so used to tasting off nuts, we don't even know they're off anymore. So be mindful of the nuts. For some people, they need to be soaked overnight in acidulated water. So a squeeze of lemon juice, some yogurt sauce or some apple cider vinegar, and then dehydrate them or dry them in your oven. Not everybody needs to do that, but some people with gut issues certainly do. I think I've got a flickering light in the background today. I look like I'm in a disco. So the next one is apples. And apples, again, are really super high in fiber. They can also help us lower cholesterol. They're the ideal snack. They're portable. There's no packaging. You can take it and off you go. They're really great for our gut bacteria, especially if they're stewed, but also great raw. One of the biggest recipes that I would recommend to people is stewed apples, because it's very, very good for gut health. Again, these are high in vitamin C too, but they will lose that vitamin C if you cook them. They have high amounts of pectin. This helps reduce the cholesterol, but it also is really good for gut health. Super high in antioxidants. I don't recommend dried apples as much as an everyday food, but for an occasional snack, they're all okay because they're higher in sugar. The next one, which is number 5, is legumes and beans. One of my favorites, actually. So great sources of protein, great sources of B vitamins, super high in fiber. And in the world, there's about 13,000 different species of legumes and beans to choose from. They lower the risk of heart disease. They're a huge part of the Mediterranean diet. That's been researched to death, so we know that they're good. They lower the risk of colon cancer, and they supercharge our gut bacteria. That's why I really love them. They're low in fat. They're super filling, fantastic for teenage boys. They just keep eating. But they need to be prepared properly. That's one of the things I would say. Again, if you're doing dried beans, they need to be soaked overnight for at least 12 hours in acidulated water. So some apple cider vinegar, some lemon juice, some salt, some whey out of a yogurt are all good. They need to be soaked, then they need to be washed, then they need to be put in fresh water. Even in cans, I don't soak the cans, but I make sure I rinse them a couple of times before I use them. Because within cans, when most bean manufacturers make them, they just put the dried beans into the can and then they pressure cook them. So all of the lectins, the phytates, the oligosaccharides all come out into the can, and this is what causes people to be farty and give them griping and all that sort of stuff. So soaking them and rinsing them, really useful. So that would be good to do. What else? So my other thing with beans is start slow and work up. Don't go and have this big Mexican burrito bowl if you haven't had beans for 5 or 10 years. Start small and work up. They are good for the gut bacteria, but what they do is if your gut bacteria hasn't been fed for a while, they will gorge on the cellulose and stuff in beans and the outer coatings and stuff, and then they will become really farty, and hence you will become really farty. So go slow and low and work your way up to them. So that's my top 5 foods that you can eat every day. Remember though, it's best to change foods up over time. So if you're going to have nuts today, have maybe almonds and cashews, and then tomorrow have a macadamia and walnut. And that's how you can change it up the same. So you can swap out the nuts, you can swap out the seeds, the berries, the apples. So just don't eat the same ones all the time. There are loads of varieties, so we've got plenty to choose from. And there's different phytochemicals and different nutrients in each one, so it's good to get the broad spectrum. The other thing I want to reiterate is more is not better. Having more of one thing is not going to make you better. Stick to your serving size. And your body still has to process what you eat, and too much of a good thing can be problematic as well. So I hope that's been useful. It was good to me to think about those 5 things that I would recommend somebody eat every day. And again, I would be wary as to say eat everything every day. So I hope that's been helpful. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.